we're still in the rearrange furniture part because surgery. But today I thought I would tell you guys all the books I read in August. I ended up reading 6 books, which is definitely not as good as in July, but I was on vacation then. So the first book I was going to talk about is Daughter of the Deep by Rick Riordan. This is the first book he writes that is not like in the mythology world that he has been writing about for the last few years. And so as far as I know, this is still supposed to be a standalone because that was the original plan. Hopefully that changes because it was a cool world and I want to read more. So basically this is inspired by Jules Verne's novel called 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, a classic that I really love. But in this one we meet Anna the Carp, actually an ancestor to Captain Nemo, which is the main one of the main characters in 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. And Anna goes to this sort of boarding school called Hardin Pencroft Academy, and they get to learn like the underwater life and everything involving the water and stuff like that. And then one day she and her classmates actually ends up witnessing this sort of tragedy that will change her life. Because it turns out that Harding Pencroft's rivals, the Land Institute, have been fighting a cold war for the past 150 years, and it just turned hot because misery ensues. So this is about Anna finding out more about her ancestor Captain Nemo, and like betrayal and dolphins and, you know, submarines and stuff. It's really cool, and I really did enjoy it. And I ended up giving it 4.5 out of 5 stars. And then we have Noughts and Crosses by Mallory Blackman. And this is basically about Sappho and Callum, and they're basically like Romeo and Juliet, star-crossed lover, friendship, whatever you want to call it. And this is basically if history had been the opposite as it was, meaning that in this version it's the Caucasians that have been slaves, and they've just gone out of that like last 50 years, and it's the people of color who are the ones in privileged, and they are the ones with all of the sort of positions of power and stuff like that. And so basically it's a historical twist with it, and it was really dark, which I was not expecting as much of, but yeah, it was a quick read. I did enjoy it. I know there's more books in this series and I might check those out, who knows. But yeah, I really did enjoy it. I like the characters and there was a lot of plot twists and everything like that. So yeah, I ended up giving this book 4 out of 5 stars. And we have Persuasion by Jane Austen. I really enjoyed it. So basically we meet this character named Anna, and she was persuaded by her family not to marry this guy like 7 years ago, and she ends up breaking off the engagement, and she's very like regretful about it. The guy that she was engaged to, whose name I can't remember, ends up going out to sea to work, and when he comes back 7-8 years later, Anna realizes that maybe this is her chance to, you know, start over and maybe become friends again with him. And we also meet Anna's family, who's not really nice to her. They like don't really care about her opinions on anything. And her sister Mary is, she's a lot. She's not the nicest person. She's very narcissistic and selfish, but she's really entertaining. So it's like a good annoyance in a way, I guess. But yeah, I ended up giving this book 4 out of 5 stars. And then we have The Blinding Knife by Brent Weeks. This is the second book in the Lightbringer series, and this was a hunker. Since this is the second book, I don't want to spoil anything, but basically this is the in this world, basically magic is about being able to see colors, and if you can see a color, you can use that color to create stuff. And the more colors you can see, the more powerful you are. And Gavin happens to be like the most powerful of all, because he can see all 8 colors, which no one else can, which is why he is the sort of prism, basically like the guy to be. And yeah, there's wars on the horizon, there's betrayal, there's a lot of shit going on, and I really do like this series, so I really need to buy and continue on with the third book. I ended up giving it 4.5 out of 5 stars. And then we have The Tyrant's Tomb by Rick Riordan. This is the 4th book in the Trials of Apollo. So in the first book we meet Apollo, or Lester Papadopoulos. He is now a pimply gangly teenager because he has been cast down to earth by his father Zeus after a sort of quarrel. And just because Apollo is no longer a god, but in fact a mortal, doesn't stop all the sort of other gods and demons and creatures from going after him. They see it as an opportunity. So Apollo actually has to stay close to his newfound friend Meg, who is a daughter of Demeter, and they have to work together to save the day and, you know, make sure Apollo stays alive long enough to be able to even get his powers back again. Yeah, I really like this series because there's a lot of shit happening. There's a lot of character growth, a lot of wars, of course, and death, and a little bit of gore. But yeah, I really enjoyed this one, and ended up giving it 4.5 out of 5 stars. And then we have a memoir, and that's I'm Glad My Mom Died by Jeanette McCurdy. And Jeanette McCurdy was one of the main characters in the series called iCarly, and later on Sam and Cat, which are both series I've never seen but I heard of. And this is basically about her growing up, being pushed into the acting industry when she was 6 years old by her mother. It's about her coming to terms with and realizing the fact that she was sexually assaulted by her mom, that she got into anorexia because her mother taught her calorie counting, and she later on develops bulimia. And it's basically her struggles through the first years of her life until her mother ends up dying of cancer, and her trying to work through all of that to become healthy and happy again. So yeah, I really enjoyed this one. It's hard to put a star rating on a memoir since these are things that a person actually lives through, but she just does it really well. I listened to the audiobook which she narrates herself, and it's just really well written. She remembers excruciatingly detail what she went through, and I couldn't do anything but give it 5 out of 5 stars because it's just so well done. These were all of the books I ended up reading in August. Hopefully I will end up reading a little bit more in September. We'll see. But yeah, I hope we see you in the next one. Bye.